Yes. It says it's streaming live.
So maybe we can just wait for another 5 minutes for all the participants and audience to join in. I can see that the numbers of participants are growing very quickly. So we'll start in another 5 minutes.
It's 7:02. Shall we wait till 7:05 and just start another 3 minutes?
Yes, Chandida, we can wait till 7:05 and then we can start. Because maybe some people are figuring out how to log in and stuff like that.
Oh, there are already about 30 people.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Mehta, the people have started trickling in the museum.
Oh, yeah, it's not a trickle.
Oh, wow.
People, we get between 300 and 500 a day. And on weekends, about between 1,000 to 1,500. Normally on weekends, we get about 3,000 people. And so that's what we just started painting our education center, because it was all sort of, looking a bit sort of worn down because of no one being there for the last 2 years. And so we just painted it and put it together. And I wanted to say that, if you wanted to move some part of perhaps the discussions, or though we could do it with Zoom, we can look at whether, I'm not sure how much people want to actually physically be there, but we could try. So we're investigating to see whether we can take live discussions on Zoom as well. And I'll get back to you. We're just exploring that option so that you have that, it's a much more engaged interaction. I feel still I've been participating in many Zoom seminars and talks, and I feel that people are still very constrained. You have the camera completely focused on you, and you are performing in a sense in front of the camera, whereas when you're live, it's much more natural. People are much less self-conscious. So I feel if we're able to make that hybrid possibility happen, then that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. So Chandita is signaling me that it's 7:05, and I think we can start today's session. So welcome everyone. Good evening. And my name is Anuj Daga. I'm one of the co-curators of the second edition of the VAICA Festival, along with my colleagues Bharti Kapadia and Chandita Mukherjee. As you will all know, VAICA stands for Video Art by Indian Contemporary Artists. It is my pleasure to welcome the 79 participating artists from across India, some of who may be also practicing from different countries, all who have wholeheartedly contributed their works for mounting this festival up. I'm honored to have with us Ms. Tasneem Mehta from our presenting partner institution, Dr. Bhavdaji Lal Museum, as well as members from the Bajaj Trust and the Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation, without the financial support of whom this festival would never have come to the reality of this day. My warm regards for Tina Nagpal, who has been an advisor of our festival, and she's joining us all the way from the US today. Thank you so much to all of you for joining uh, us today. The purpose for getting together today is threefold. The first is to officially mark the beginning of the second edition of VAICA, which has been conceived in an online avatar. The first cycle, while it was still traveling across cities during 2019-2020, was brought to a halt due to the pandemic lockdown. The decision to extend VAICA online was primarily taken since video as a medium could afford to be on digital space. And at the same time, we also saw an opportunity to connect and reach out to a much wider audience and range of artists through this initiative. This has clearly reflected in the scale that this festival has taken, with 121 videos by 79 artists filtered from a much larger pool of works that we saw. The second purpose for this evening is to spell out our understanding of video art and thereby the curatorial approach behind the festival. We will talk about it over the course of this program. And further, we would also like to orient you to the way in which the festival has been laid out and structured over the month. And also, we will talk about ways in which you can access, engage, and respond to the festival. And lastly, through this orientation, we would like to invite you all to consider video art with a greater curiosity. Video art is a unique form of art making, as well as critically thinking about our modes of expression and communication today. We would be happy to take questions and comments from all of you by the end of our presentation. Keeping these 3 points as the guiding structure for this evening, I would like to move on into the lineup of our presentations. I would first like to invite Ms. Tasneem Mehta, Managing Trustee and Director of the Bhavdaji Lad Museum, to share her perspective on video art in India and therefore VAICA. Before I have her speak, I would like to acknowledge that Ms. Mehta has not only offered us constant guidance and institutional support for our endeavors, but also helped us meet our sole sponsors, the Bajaj Trusts and the Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation, who have facilitated the labor of putting together this festival. And as a more formal introduction, Ms. Tasneem Mehta is an art historian, writer, curator, designer, and a cultural activist. And she has been foremost in the heritage preservation movement in India and pioneered the revival and restoration of several of Mumbai's important cultural sites. As managing trustee and honorary director of Dr. Bhavdaji Lad Museum in Mumbai, Ms. Mehta conceptualized, curated, designed, and implemented the institution's restoration and revitalization. She has striven to make space for contemporary art within existing institutional frameworks. I invite her to share her thoughts on making space for video art in India. So, Ms. Mehta, over to you and welcome.
Good evening, friends. And I have to thank Anuj for that very kind and generous introduction, and to say, as much as I have been involved with historic preservation, my heart is really very much in contemporary practice, because I think history only lives through its engagement with the present. And that's exactly, as you know, what we have tried to do at the museum. We've tried to bring in young voices, contemporary artists, and to bring about the engagement with all forms of new practice. And so for me, it was a no-brainer when these young people wrote to me. Actually, Bharti wrote to me. Bharti is, of course, an old friend. And Bharti wrote to me and said, would you be interested? And I thought, what a fantastic idea, because we have never, you had the VAICA edition earlier, but I was so impressed with how they were putting it together. And I felt that it was absolutely imperative that as an institution that is concerned with contemporary expression of all kinds, of all forms, we should be supporting them. So so in a sense, it was for me really a no-brainer. And I think when you go through the videos, as I have been doing, it's just a whole varied form of practice. And there are so many different voices that are coming through, and they are so engaging. And so I have gone a little bit ahead of myself, because in thanking Anuj and in speaking informally really about how it happened, I would like to just first also say that we are delighted to present this second edition of VAICA, video art by Indian contemporary artists, along with Comet Media, who's the director, Chandita Mukherjee is the director. And we're very grateful, as Anuj expressed, to the Bajaj Foundation, Jamna Lal Bajaj Foundation, and the Bajaj Group Trusts, who have been hugely supportive of all the activities at the Bhavraji Lad Museum for the last 17, 18 years, and have enabled this kind of practice to emerge and flourish in whatever forms that we could afford it at the museum. As of course, as Anuj has mentioned, that Bharti Kapadia, who is a well-known artist in Bombay, Chandita Mukherjee, who is a filmmaker and who is here with us today, and Anuj, who is a young and very talented curator and critic, have put this festival together and worked very hard on it. And so I feel very privileged to be associated with it in really a peripheral form. But, you know, that's what institutions really are there for. They're institutions like ours are public institutions that are there for giving a platform to this form of different forms of practice, as I was saying. And unfortunately, what happens is that with all of us, and I think all of you know that we tend to be so engaged with the weight of our history that we tend to forget what is going on the ground. And institutionally, that tends to happen a lot of the time, as you know, all over India. And so I think in a sense, we are making little forays, trying to cut a little bit of the forest to make space. And it's a very thick forest, let me tell you, to make space for this form of emerging practice. I mean, I don't have to tell all of you are practitioners and you know how ubiquitous, in a sense, video has become, because especially with the lockdown, when everything transitioned to Zoom, and we were just talking about it earlier before we got into the formal part of this evening, that it's just totally transformed our lives. We're all the time in front of the screen, and so that has now become a reality, and it is going to also become very much a part. It has been, of course, as we know, new media has been part of artistic practice for a long time. But it's going to, I think, become much more important, almost not quite completely, but almost replacing for people every day the still image. And so that to understand and to be able to theorize it in a way, I think that is also what is very important. And I think that is, after you watch these videos, I do hope that you will participate in the discussions that would take place, because that is a very important aspect of trying to give a handle, to theorize this form of art practice and make it accessible to others who may not really comprehend all of it. So, so from my having seen many videos, I can just tell you that there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm, again, just to reiterate, there's as a museum engaged substantially with contemporary practice. We are delighted to partner with VAICA and with Comet Media, and we are grateful to the support of the Bajaj Foundations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mehta, for your kind words and and really contextualizing so many things together within the institutional framework about video art in India. And precisely to say that, yes, such an initiative will allow us to really look at video art together and produce a more sustained discourse, and which is a form which has been there for some time now over the last 2 decades, but has not been seen in as a form in itself. So definitely, thank you so much for supporting this endeavor. Um, with that, I would like to now move on to our next address, and Bharti Kapadia, the brainchild behind the VAICA festival and one of the co-curators of this edition, has been invited to Frankfurt for an art project. Hence, she will be unable to join us physically. Bharti is a visual artist and a graphic designer, art consultant, and a performer, as many of you will know. And she has been engaged with the visual arts in various capacities for over 4 decades. Her performance and video work have been shown at festivals in India and abroad. And at the same time, she has curated exhibitions and served on several art-related platforms. Cognizant of her absence, Bharti has left for us a pre-recorded address, which I would request my colleague Krishna to play for the audiences. So Krishna, can we please have Bharti's address for the audience?
VAICA 2019 happened in Mumbai. And do you know what VAICA stands for? VAICA is an acronym. It's an acronym for Video Art by Contemporary Indian Artists, or rather Indian Contemporary Artists, because it's VAICA. It was co-curated by myself and Chandita Mukherjee. It was screened across 5 Saturdays of November at 4 different venues across the city. It then travelled to New Delhi, Goa, Ahmedabad and Baroda. We were planning to take it to other cities, but we had to drop the plan because of the COVID. The idea of putting together a free entry festival of video art for anyone interested in art and culture came to me when I was in the process of making my first video. As part of my research, I was wanting to know how our artists here were working with this medium. So I logged on and I tried to locate videos on the net which were by Indian artists, and I failed in my attempt. I couldn't locate anything substantial. And why was that? It was not because our artists were not making videos, but it was because most of their video work was part of private websites, of their own websites or the galleries or the museums. And so anyone interested in art, wanting to know about this medium, how it was being explored here, had no way of knowing. And I felt this vacuum needed to be addressed. I discussed this idea with Chandita, a good friend of mine who is also a filmmaker, and she was all for it. The work began and we made it a reality. VAICA 2019 happened and it was a success. This has inspired us to work towards the second edition, and VAICA 2 is now before you. This time we have not restricted the entries to visual artists alone like last time, but we have invited entries from those engaged in experimenting with video as an art form from across professions. This has brought many new talents and fresh approaches to the fore. We have also been able to reach widely across our state borders and include video works from outside of just the metropolitan cities. The curatorial concept, thematics, and the design of the festival are aimed at creating a meaningful experiential exchange between video and the participating audience. That is you. On behalf of VAICA, I would like to acknowledge the warm reception and support we have received from Ms. Tasneem Mehta, the director of Bhaudaji Art Museum, and thank the BDL Museum for presenting VAICA 2 in association with Comet Media Foundation. I also thank the Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation of the Bajaj Trusts for their full financial backing. VAICA 2 has truly been a collaborative event, and I take this opportunity to extend my thanks to all the video artists who have been a delight to work with. My two colleagues, Chandita and Anuj, Tina Nagpal, our associate, Krishna Mehta and Kritika Bhattacharya, our social media manager and our graphic designer. The biggest thank you is to you all and others like you who have and will invest their time and sensitivity to see, respond and articulate their response during the panel discussions scheduled at 7 p.m. every Saturday of the 4 weekly sessions. I wish you happy viewing. Thank you.
So that was the message from Bharti, who will be back in India in another 2 days. But at this point, I would just like to chalk out the curatorial underpinnings of the festival, which we all kind of engaged in the last 1.5 years. The pandemic year, as we all were in, forced most of us into increased screen times, where the indulgence in videos remained the primary way of, escaping the imposed interiority of our home. Speaking to a friend over a Zoom call, watching a teleseries over Netflix, browsing through a short clip over YouTube, or checking up a quick GIF message over WhatsApp, all define forms of screen material that may be called video. Video through which we may come to refill the world lost at present while still being in the safe confines of our home. The term video is now charged primarily with the way it is received rather than produced. Screen devices, once the primary instruments to broadcast video, are also the tools through which videos are produced today. Electronic and digital equipment has enabled camera-less videos, making it more accessible, resulting into a plurality of expressive moving image forms. In curating the works for VAICA 2, we came across a range of experiments that could not be classified within the existing formats of motion picture exhibition. Video works demand a space of their own, or they cannot be easily categorized within the existing genres of films, short films, commercial advertisements, promotional shots, handheld reels, or playful voiceover TikToks. Such forms of video production get quickly subsumed into the logic of the market or thrive on popular modes of expression. And in addition, most of them already have their own platforms, established social or commercial currency, and channels of recognition and legitimization. Video art, on the other hand, are works of art in the realm of the screen, made in unique dialogue with its tools and apparatuses, which is the tool of making video itself. And these works do not necessarily respect the time rhythms and the time formats of the commercial counterparts that I just spoke about. They are driven by their subjects and necessity of the creator's expression. The logics of the marketplace also do not bother them. In many instances, we encounter such videos in art galleries that annotate and accentuate a broader set of works within conventional exhibitions. Galleries are traditionally designed to accommodate artworks like paintings or physical sculptures. However, many artists today have also taken to producing video works exclusively, which demands a comprehensive discourse of their own. What would be the architecture of a gallery for video works be like? VAICA offers an intermediate space in order to interrogate, articulate, and incubate such thoughts. The curatorial process for the second edition of VAICA gave us this chance to articulate several entry points through which, video art may be appreciated and understood. or also understand what is different in this form of art. And so in simply recognizing these aspects and shifting registers of moving images, I will list down a few points which we thought were derived from the video works that we sieved through over the last few months and put together in this festival. The first thing is that video art is about collision of serendipitous image worlds. They bring unexpected images together in the frame of space and time. The second is that it re-engineers the language of images. It creates new registers through which messages are communicated and expressions are revealed. The third is, in doing so, it fractures the conventional narrative storytelling structures. It doesn't follow a conventional beginning, middle, and end. Rather, it will ask you to put together the images that you've seen in your own imaginative way. The fourth is altering the proximities of vision. Video art and the works in video play with juxtapositions of images at different scales, both in space and time. You may be able to collage two things which are very far and very near, and at the same time, you may be able to bring two things of completely different time periods together. The fifth is the transgression of one's disciplinary boundaries. Many artists here are working in many different mediums, but have also pushed or brought together different kinds of mediums in the format of the screen. The sixth is pushing the limits of one's own artistic medium. What happens when a drawing begins to move? What happens when a sculpture begins to perform? Or what happens when a body which is moving becomes a sculpture? These are ways in which video allows you to shift your perceptive registers. The seventh is interaction. It makes us conscious of our interaction between the body and the screen. How do we engage with the screen? How do we pose ourselves in front of a screen? And many video works that you will encounter in the festival will challenge that traditional way and make you twist and turn your body in order to appreciate it. The eighth is the reorchestration of image, sound, and text. The way in which these three things are configured and put together in many video works will make you challenge your traditional associations with images, voices, and sound, and the way they come together with each other. And lastly, it allows us therefore to challenge the idea of reality. And we have to remember that our physical and intellectual reality is increasingly shaped by video matter. Today we record, access, and alter our everyday life most readily through the act of video making. So video art makes us aware of all these gaps within which our reality is strongly unfolding. And with these kinds of ideas, we framed this festival to call it Fields of Vision. Fields of Vision presents an array of visual experiments by contemporary video practitioners of Indian origin that expand our imaginative geography. And the pluralizing of the singular field into multiple fields has a number of implications. It proposes widening of perspectives, multiplying vectors of viewing, and discovering new directions for wandering, pause, and inhabitation. 121 videos by 79 artists shown in 4 chapters over the 4 weeks of VAICA Festival will chart new coordinates through which its makers rephrase, re-engineer, and perhaps also puncture our normalized field of vision. And with that, I will now invite Chandita Mukherjee, my co-curator and colleague, to spell out the structuring and layout of the overall festival. Just a small introduction to Chandita. Chandita is a documentary filmmaker and has extensively explored the links between science, technology, and society through her work. Chandita leads the activities of Comet Media Foundation, which is also one of the associating partners and presenters of the VAICA festival right since its inception. And it's a Mumbai-based organization whose projects make factual knowledge and concepts accessible to children and young adults. So it's a perfect kind of platform for us to host VAICA through. So I will now ask Chandita to take us through the structuring of the festival and also explain us the layout. Chandita.
Thank you. Hi. So, before we start talking about the structuring of the festival, I really want to tell you something about the process. We started soliciting videos around November last year and got into the swing of it by December, Jan. So in this whole year, we have seen more than 200 artist videos. And finally, we started making the selections and boiled it down to a certain number. Then we started shifting them around into 4 groups because we already had a kind of an idea that we'd structure it in 4 one-week chunks. And then finally, it all sort of worked out very well, thanks largely to Anuj, who thought of these categories. And then we again went on retempering the movement of these and rearranging them until we were satisfied with the whole complementarity, because it's not just about a subject and a group of things. It's also about the complementarity of the videos which are lying together, sitting together and speaking to each other while you're looking at it in the structure or the framework of a group. So now let's talk through this by going to our website. Krishna, will you switch on the website? Here we are at the home page. And if you see the top, there are 3 buttons out there. The first is to register and become a participant in the festival. The second button is for today's online launch, where you already are, but do look out for this link in future weeks, because every Saturday at 7 p.m., there will be a session where we meet artists and curators and have discussions on the videos of that particular week. Then comes the third button, which is about the videos of this week, which are now live. So we urge you to go and see them after this talk. So let's now go to just roll up a little bit. Here's a spectacular picture from Talur's video, which is called Interference, and this will be shown next week. So now shall we, and a couple of paras which you could read yourselves. So let's go to the top. In home itself, if you hover the mouse, there's something called background, which will tell you about the history of how this festival came about. Then the next one is VAICA itself, where we've got a discussion on fields of vision, and then each week's list and the people involved and their little bio sketches, as well as synopses of the films. So here we are in fields of vision. There's a visual from Gigi Scaria's amusement park, which you're going to see later. Here, why don't you go down to the first group? That is cartographies of sensation. So this is this is the first thematic of the festival, what we are having this week in the videos. Here the videos attempt to map the coordinates of observation, experience, perception, and artistic production. And in these mappings, we play between the polarities of science and fiction. And we thought that these images and these telling new ways to sense the world can also create for expanding our consciousness and giving us means to articulate ourselves in this present, highly fraught present day situation. The second theme, the next theme, will you scroll up, is orbits of desire. Here, this group of videos attempts to map the coordinates of experience. We really look at videos which explore subjects of gender, relationships, and performances. And they're all circumscribed by bodily acts. It flows from a thought that the body is the medium through which we make memories, and express our inner desires. And these works raise questions like, how do we inhabit memory? What are our limits of retention? What are the fragments of time that are worthy of preserving? In the artist's hand, these kinds of sites of retention preserve the archives of the body's memories, the time-bound bodies of ours. Perhaps by orchestrating strategic encounters with time, they also allow us to rediscover our own desires. Okay, next we go to perceptions of the real. In this segment, we will look at video compositions that explore the growing awareness of irreversible change in the environment. Our attention is repeatedly drawn to signs which we usually don't pay attention to, and in our day-to-day existence, we even ignore them totally and don't attend to them at all. So the virtual spaces through which we are guided in this set of videos takes our awareness into parallel realities. Okay, and several of the videos in this set remind us that the pandemic turned our sense of security inside out, because we got locked within our homes and we've had an irrational fear of the outside world oppressing us. The final week of the series is scroll down, is called Urban Heterotopias. Now, this theme owes its origins to Foucault's theoretical work and efforts to study urban public spaces. He envisages potential ways of approaching space, power, and social relations through this concept of heterotopia, where he emphasizes how space integrates processes of power. Urban heterotopias make themselves apparent in the psychogeographies which are explored in this set of videos. Within the shared domain of the city, with all its jostling inhabitants cohabitating and contestating available spaces, we see how the city is a charged site for the performance of politics. So in this concluding session, the videos contemplate the urban condition and bring us to questions like, can such revelations reset our equations with the urban space? Can they alter our fields of vision? So back to the top of the menu, please. Here, we can click on this week's thing, which is live. And I suggest we have a look at a 1 minute or even a 30-second excerpt of the Bharti's video, so you get a sense of the kind of thing people are trying in these. Here we are. Play. Play, Krishna. Okay, so it's about fears in this highly fraught situation we find ourselves in nowadays. So let's go up to the top. The other things are fairly obvious. People, and we'll take you inside the archive for a second because the catalog is there. Last year's catalog. Just scroll up. Scroll down, I mean. Yeah. So this catalog is very interestingly presented. It's a sort of flippable book. So you can flip through the pages. Of course, this is going too fast to read, but we're inviting you to come and have a linger over there. Okay, come back to the top. Then we have media reports, downloads of, stuff about our festival, the kind of thing we've been talking about, a blog, and also a contact point. Sure. Here, we want you to give us feedback, comments, criticisms, suggestions for how you'd like to see it done another time, etc. And this is our email address. So do send us your remarks. And, see some of these remarks have been put up here on this website. And here we have follow us, Facebook as well as Instagram. So if you did that, you'd be getting some exciting little things, snippets of things to see, which Kritika and Krishna have been preparing, Anuj also. So thank you. And let's get back and Anuj take over.
Thanks, Chandita. Thank you for laying out the festival so succinctly. I want to say that these links will be available for viewing for a week, and then they will be changed with the new set of links for the week two. So make sure that you come once or twice every week and check in all the exciting works that are being lined out for you to see. And also, moving on to the last section, before I invite our advisor Tina on our panel, I would like to urge all of you to post any questions or comments if you have in the Q&A box that you can see at the bottom of your screen if you're using a laptop. Um, we would be happy to respond to any queries and comments that you may have. And now I would like to invite Tina Nagpal, who has been an advisor on our festival. Tina Nagpal is a writer and film producer with a passion for film, literature, art, design, and technology. With over 16 years of experience in the Indian film industry, she's now exploring new ideas, mediums, and formats to express herself creatively. She's also currently working on a documentary feature, and she's also developing content for digital platforms. And with that kind of experience, it would be perfect for her to ask about the future of video art and this new emerging form of expression in the space of Indian art. So, Tina, thank you so much for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Anuj. Thank you. And welcome, everybody. I am delighted to be part of this team that has brought VAICA to you. And what a wonderful endeavor it is. We've put together some amazing work for you. Listening to Anuj and Chandita talk specifically about the videos and the website. I'm myself excited to explore everything. I've come to Vaika through the previous edition, which I engaged with as a viewer, just like many of you will do this time. And that was really my first exposure to video art. And it has been an interesting journey for me since then to discover more about it. And I am, of course, still learning, but it's been something that I've really enjoyed. So let me talk to you a little bit about what I see for the future for video art, especially in India. So while video art has been around for decades, the last few years have really brought it into the limelight. And a large reason for this has, of course, been technology, because technology has helped democratize video art and also make it accessible. And in fact, I believe that video art itself has become a vehicle for a more egalitarian artistic landscape. Until the advent of video art, most media and art forms tended to be very well defined and grouped. But video art blurs the lines. Anuj has laid out sort of the definitions for video art very well, but in a sort of larger sense, video art differentiates itself from narrative or documentary formats, and in that way opens itself up to being a lot more. It allows then to be itself to be a sort of new media from which a lot can spring. And in this way, I think that video art itself influences technology because it demands to be seen and it demands access. So just like Vaika has been an endeavor to bring video art out of private collections and into public archives, I foresee that in the future, traditional art spaces such as galleries and museums will have to find ways of combining art, design, and technology to bring this art form to wider audiences. And another thing that Anush talked about, and I also want to highlight, is that the pandemic also has really changed very dramatically the way that we interact with each other. And now, thanks to apps like Zoom, what we're on right now, and literally every other form of social media, our lives itself are on a continuous video loop, and we live in a very hyper connected world. And so I believe that we will see a lot of churn in the way in which we interact with video. It's become a form of expression so intuitive to us that it is definitely going to create a creative a churn and explosion around it. So, and I feel that one of the things that has happened is that we are no longer satisfied with viewing art passively. So, just as an example, the hugely popular Van Gogh interactive exhibit everywhere shows that we want to step into art, we want to live it and flow with it and move with it, and which is why video art as moving image is so powerful. And I really think that art, video, and technology will come together to create more and more compelling ways through which we can experience and express ourselves and our society. We'll, of course, all of you will have the opportunity to see some amazing works. And, the idea would be that because we are all in a position to now create art on our own, given, the access to technology that we have, that it becomes a way for us to really express ourselves very dramatically. So I believe that the future of video art is assured. And as this desire to explore and express meets the potential and the technology, video art will continue to grow and seek interaction and engagement in larger public spaces. And art can no longer afford to be restricted in the way that traditional art was. So in that sense, I think that India is ripe for an explosion for video art, and it will sort of break down barriers. I believe that it will really help us question. It becomes a form, a way of people sort of engaging with society in a way that allows them to really question what they see around themselves, and that is more and more important in the world that we're in now. But what I think that we will now need to look for in India is an investment in digital spaces that exhibit this video art, and as well as public spaces that provide physical access to video art experiences. So, this line between art and video art and new media is going to keep blurring. And I also think that we will start to see many new forms of video and digital art that sort of keep appearing. And as Anuj, Chandita, and Bharti have in the process of trying to created a language around which we can engage with video art, and created sort of we've worked to engage with it through themes. In that same way, I think that as these new forms of art continue to sort of grow, people will continue to define a subject space around it that allows for very meaningful conversations. And so I really think that our world is going to be richer for this engagement with the video format and hopefully video art. And I'd like to say that we at VAICA, I speak for everybody, that we hope to continue to encourage the creation and the experience of video art through our commitment to curating outstanding video content and making it accessible to everyone. So that's my two bits, and over to you, Anuj, again.
Thanks, Tina. Thank you for laying out such two very important coordinates of technology and art together and framing it so well. And I really, really appreciate the way in which you cut the cross section across this dimension of video art. And certainly, as Tina says, that we definitely want to kind of consolidate all this experimentation in the space of video art through the platform of VAICA. So with that, we have kind of come to a conclusion of all our addresses for the evening. We have a few questions um, in our Q&A box, so I will just take them one by one. The first question is, it's by an anonymous attendee, and asking, can people who have not registered view the videos? So just to answer that very quickly, yes, people who have not registered with us can definitely come to the VAICA website and see the videos. The registration is primarily so that we can keep you posted of our weekly updates and the links for the upcoming events and videos. So if you register with us, you will receive regular updates from us when we change into new video sets. The second question is there an option to comment on specific videos? Yes, so what we have done for this is we have created a form which the link of which you will see in the page of the list of videos. So you can simply log in to that and mention your name and the video that you want to comment on, and send in your comments. And we will make sure that we try to find ways of putting them out or taking them to artists, and that will be a real encouragement for all of us and the artists as well. There is one more question. Can we see these videos on TV? So I would say that you will require a smart TV in order to see these videos on TV. You can simply relay the website through your phone device onto the TV if it is connected through Wi-Fi, and you should be able to enjoy these with much more clarity on your TV sets also. So yeah, and there's another question that we just received, and the question is how to become a video artist. I have these ideas. What do I need to do next? Do I just go ahead and make my artwork, or there is a specific process? So since Chandita is a filmmaker and also teaching film and moving image, I would ask her to respond to this question. Chandita, would you like to respond to this question?
Yeah, there's no set answer for such questions, my friend, because as Tina pointed out, the medium, the tools, everything is very accessible, and anybody can teach themselves how to record an image and then how to manipulate it and to edit it and to finally apply sounds to it, etc. So the one way is to go and do a course in a proper institute, but if you're not of that age and you don't have the financial wherewithal to go and register yourself somewhere for 2 or 3 years, you can also just start practicing, keep practicing, show it to other people who are thinking like you, make trial efforts of all sorts, show it around, talk. It is very open now, as Tina was saying. It's very open, and any kind of experimentation is welcome. And there are no set rules. There's no rule about you have to do it like this. It has to have a beginning, middle, and an end, etc., etc. It is really very open and free flowing, as you will see from the videos that you'll see in the next 4 weeks. People are, of course, these are accomplished artists for the most part, but why not? Anybody can really who can pick up the tools can do it.
Thanks, Chandita. Tina, would you like to add anything?
Yes, I think that definitely experimenting is a great way to do it. But I also think that just engaging with video art and really watching a lot of video art is a great way to sort of understand the conversations that people are having or the ideas that they're looking to bring out. So I would say that, of course, VAICA is a great place for you to start, but there is a lot of video art that is now available. And especially during the pandemic, I think a lot of global video art has also become accessible. And so I would suggest that you really engage with it to learn in a way. It's like watching movies in order to, like learn to think about, something visually. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. And yeah, I would really encourage that that you engage with the works that are put up in the festival, because a lot of artists, they practice in a different medium and have taken to video as a way of expression. And I think with the whole democratization of the tools of working with videos, you should be able to really work your own way, and that will be the most interesting thing to happen, because you will be redefining again the form that videos can take. There's one more question from Jasmine Nilani Joseph. She's asking, does VAICA publish catalog out of India? If yes, does the catalog is the catalog available to buy? So let me answer the question. Yes, the first cycle had a catalog of VAICA, which kind of had an index and notes on all the works that were shown. And that is, I'll have to ask Chandita if we still have print copies to send out to people who may desire to have it. The second edition's catalog is underway, and we are hoping that we'll be able to soon kind of bring it out and put it together, and certainly it will be available for people to have for themselves. So Chandita, if you can clarify if we do have copies.
There are no copies left, or there are 3 or 4 copies left, so we can't sell them now. But you can certainly download the copy in that website which we just showed you. The flippable copy you can only see on the website, but the other regular PDF which you scroll from page to page, that's very much available. So you don't have to have a printed one. That's an old-fashioned idea. We can have the digital one.
Yes. So certainly, I mean, if you are to introduce yourself to the content and the artists who are working in video art in the South Asian context, this will certainly be a resource for you to have. So yeah, thanks, Jasmine, for putting that question. And we don't have any more questions now. So I think maybe, and we are also at our time. So maybe we can close it. And before that, I urge all of you to join our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, so that, like Chandita said, you can see the most upcoming snippets from the exciting work that is mounted on the festival. And also you will get regular updates on them. And with that, I thank everyone again for taking the time to join today for the orientation. The video links for the first week are already up on our website, and please do share it with friends and people whom you think might be interested in such work. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Krishna Mehta and Kritika Bhattacharjee, who have been on our team of social media and for designing the festival collaterals and graphic design throughout the last 3 months. So please do enjoy the festival and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, like I said, and also sign up for our mailing list to receive regular links and updates for the festival. And in the end, I would like to say that our next panel discussion will be on next Saturday with Najreen Islam, who is a writer and researcher, and she will be in conversation with 2 of our VAICA artists, Hansa Thaplial and Gigi Scaria, and this will be on 27th November at 7 p.m. You will be able to see the Zoom link to our website, and all these events are free and open to public across the world. So please do share and bring in your friends to join this discussion. Well, thank you and welcome to VAICA, and thank you all for making time to come on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.